Welcome to Dreams Inspire Reality Podcast with Tara Darnley, a podcast for creatives looking to turn their dreams into reality with practical strategic steps from everyday people and entrepreneurs who are living their best lives possible.
Hello, everyone. On today's episode, we have the beautiful Adeea Rogers, and I'm so excited to have her on because she is an intricate part of me even launching my podcast, and we'll discuss that in my podcast today. So Adeea Rogers, also known as the Trendy Socialite, is a social media personality and strategist and brand consultant. Her calling is to help empower others to develop and pursue their purpose, and as a result, she's known on Periscope as the Purpose Pusher, and she is the Purpose Pusher. Adeea seeks to equip others daily with motivation and tools necessary to create and design the life they want. Adeea believes in creating the change you want to see through creating events, communities, and movements. In 2012, Adeea founded the International Natural Hair Meetup Day, giving women around the world the opportunity to meet and network with others and share information, techniques, inspiration, and other beauty tips and guide each other in their natural hair journeys. In July 2015, she co-founded Black Bizscope, a community-based initiative where Black-owned businesses are featured every Friday on live streaming platform Periscope. In June 2016, Adeea pushed herself towards her own purpose by leaving her full-time employment with her alma mater, East Carolina University, to pursue her own business ventures. Since that time, she has become the sought-after coach, event and host, workshop facilitator, speaker, and panelist. Adeea, I am so honored to have you on. How are you doing?
I am wonderful, and I'm equally as honored to share this time with you today. Thank you so much.
That was just a mouthful, and like you do a lot, right? You legit do a lot, and it's so profound that you consider yourself, and you are like a purpose pusher because even though you help others, find their purpose, you are so talented. And we're going to jump into a lot of what you do. And like I mentioned before, you were a great part of me getting this done, like putting this out there and getting this podcast out there. So it shows like you are the truth, like you're the real deal. The question I always start with is, are you living your dream life?
I would have to say yes. When I was going through the process of deciding and the journey of actually leaving my full-time employment, I had to go through this kind of awkward period of what do I really want? What do I really want my life to look like and to be like? And for me, two words kept rising to the surface and kept coming to my mind was freedom and flexibility. I wanted the freedom to be able to go different places and do different things. And I wanted a flexible enough schedule to allow me to be able to do that. So for instance, like just this week alone, I have traveled with my parents out of town to get their car service. We had a wedding at church yesterday before noon Bible study. I'm able to attend a midday Bible study. Like those are the things that are important to me to be there for my parents as they age. Last year, both of my parents had surgery 30 days apart with multi-week recoveries. So I was blessed enough to be able to be there throughout the entire time that they were recovering until they were able to do more for themselves. And I don't know that I would have had that freedom and flexibility with traditional employment. So for me, those are the things that are important to me. And that's why I feel like I'm living my best life now. Could I always have something more, a little bit more money, a little bit more help? Obviously. But I really do think that I'm living my dream life and my ideal life when I'm able to show up for the people in my life, when I'm able to have the freedom and the flexibility to do things even at the spur of the moment that I think are important or are meaningful to me. So yes, I do.
I love that. And everyone just wants to have the freedom, right? I think that's what it's all about. Let's go back and talk about that moment because I remember you quitting on Periscope. So take us back to that point.
Well, it was actually a little bit of a longer journey than maybe some might know. I actually really got the confirmation, if you will, or the word that it was time for me to start transitioning in June of right before July 4th of 2015. And I wrote a blog post about it maybe a week or two later. And it was just from that, which happens to a lot of us, that moment of frustration where you're like, I'm sick of this. Right. And I had that I'm sick of this moment. And so I was like, Lord, if these two things happen, I know that it is time for me to make some moves. And both of those things happened in a 24-hour period after that prayer. So I woke up the next morning. So one of my things was, because I worked at a university, if the chancellor resigned or retired, that was going to be one of my signs. The next morning after I prayed that prayer, and to an email that said he was resigning and he was retiring.
Wow.
I mean, that, right. Like, that's not something that I would have known. I'm not in any circle to know that. Like, I couldn't have known that. And then later on the day, the other confirmation came. It was still a process. And so one of the things that I tell people, like, when you get the word, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to happen that next day, that next week. So don't get weary in well-doing if it takes a process of time. Just like when we find out that we're going to have a baby or we find out we're pregnant, you don't have the baby the next day or the next week. Although I'm sure sometimes we want it. And we might want to.
Yep.
But it's still a process of time before the actual fulfillment of life. And so it's the same thing with our purpose, that sometimes it takes a little bit of time. So it was almost a year before I actually quit my job from that moment. And so it just took a little bit of time to set things up, to really think about it. And then one of the questions I've been getting asked a lot recently is, when did you know? Like, when did you know?
That's what I was going to ask.
When did you know for sure? And I mean, it's kind of like with a lot of things, and I hate to say it, and it sounds so cliche when I do, but you'll just know. For me, there was this sense of urgency. Like, it was almost, if I don't do it, something's going to happen to me. I felt that strong sense of urgency. And I was like, it's time. And, just always being open and always being receptive. Right before we got on, I was watching Home and Family, and Dr. Deepak Chopra was up there, and he was just talking about being aware. And that's one of the things that I really encourage people to do. There's a difference between awareness and discernment. Awareness is knowing what's around you. And, how many times have we driven somewhere and we don't even remember the drive there or anything that we saw? But for me, it's about being aware of the moment, aware of what's around me, aware of the opportunities and things like that. And so in that moment, when I finally made the decision to submit my resignation, it was Good Friday of 2016. And I literally knew there was such a strong sense of urgency. It was kind of like do or die. I felt like I was just going to explode if I didn't do it. And so at that point, I said yes, and I took that leap of faith. It was still a little bit over a month before I actually left, because I respected my boss and I wanted to give him time to figure out what he wanted to do with my position. So my last day was May 31st of 2016.
And one thing I want to talk about is, because we don't talk about it often, of course, there's that fear, okay, I quit my job, what happens next? But also, like, how should someone prepare to take that step? Because we don't talk about that. We're like, just quit your job and go full time with your business. But it's like, okay, how can we prepare? How much money should we have? What are some of the steps necessary to prepare for that big step?
So for me, I was really, really blessed and fortunate that I had an amazing support system, family, friends, but also an amazing community of fellow entrepreneurs that literally had been mentoring me, shepherding me, and pushing me for several years at that point. And one of the things that one of them said to me, which was for me an attainable goal, they said, your first year, just replace your income. Just replace what you are making. And I know for some that might seem like, well, what's the point of going out for myself if I'm going to make the same thing that I was making? But again, it's the freedom and the flexibility. Yes. But then it's also during that time, you're able to set up processes and systems and really kind of figure out what it is that you're going to do. Lots of people really are enamored by and want to make the 6 figures in 12 minutes kind of thing. And that's wonderful. But sometimes the backstory is that that's the 12th time that they've done that, or that they had to spend 5 figures in Facebook ads in order to get to that 6 figures. So there's sometimes a lot of things around that aren't fully unpacked for us. And so when we don't meet that mark, that creates angst and feelings inside of us. So to have that goal of, okay, on my normal job, what did I normally make? And then work hard to get at least to that point. Right. And so also the other thing that I did in terms of savings, I did have probably about not much, some people say 6 months. I think I had maybe 2 months worth of income set aside. So I didn't immediately on June 1st, when I woke up as a full-time entrepreneur, didn't have to be like, oh, snap, right? So I had a little bit of that cushion, but I still woke up on the 15th when my direct deposit would have normally hit and was like, oh, snap.
It's not there no more.
Right. Right. And so that's when it kind of really became real. But I also set daily revenue goals and just saying, okay, I need to get on Periscope or send an email or get on social media or something like that to really to hit my daily revenue goal. So I really do encourage that, right? Because to hear $10,000 a month might seem like a lot. But if you break that down, that is only, I forget what the figure is, but however many dollars a day. Yes, it's a lot more attainable than saying I'm going to make $10,000 a month.
I love that. Those are great practical steps. And I love that you said, you had daily goals as opposed to monthly goals. I'm going to get $10,000 the first month. Daily goals are more practical because it's like, okay, $100 a day or $25 a day. Now that's like, okay, I didn't even hit that $25 a day. I need to, like you said, jump on Periscope or whatever. So that's definitely key.
And then you can translate that to units of products sold, to number of clients booked, to number of registrations in a course or a class or a webinar. So it really comes down to kind of like real numbers, like hard numbers at that point.
I love it. And in terms of, okay, so you're called the purpose pusher, right? So let's break that down for people. Let's break that down for the folks. Like, what does that mean? Because for me, I think you're like a content genius. Like, anytime I see you, like, you're just telling anyone, no matter what type of business they're in, you're just able to like give them content, like to give to their audience and their community. And I think that's not easy to do at all because we all struggle, right? In our business, like, okay, what content am I going to push out? And then you are able to do it for any business model.
Oh, bless your heart. Thank you.
So we're going to go into that later, but let's start with the purpose pusher. Like, what does that mean? What do you do for folks?
So for me, I was actually dubbed the purpose pusher by Nicole Walters. And that's because during her time of transitioning, we would just have conversations and I was basically just an encourager. I think that's kind of one of the things that I do. I literally have not met a person where I didn't think that their idea would work. I just believe that there's at least one thing that each and every one of us is called and put on this earth to do. And so my job, my purpose, the reason why I feel like God put me on this earth at this particular time is to help people figure out what that is, because I had to go through that same process myself. And a lot of our fear, sometimes a lot of our anxiety, even dare I say some of our depression is because we don't really know why we're here. And we're not really living that dream life because we don't know why we're here. And so through just conversations and asking questions and really listening, not just to the words, but to the heart of people, I'm able to kind of help them figure out, okay, well, this is what this could look like. You can start with this particular kind of thing, whether it's a blog or a YouTube channel or, writing steps down or creating a course or offering your service or developing a product. Like that's where you can start. And it literally is just a starting place. But I feel like sometimes we just need to know where to start. And then the journey and the path will be whatever it is going to be. And so I really just help push people along by giving them actionable steps. It's not just, oh, woo, 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 you're going to be okay. But no, here, Google this, buy that, and register for this, start doing that, write this down, develop this kind of system. That's literally what my conversations are. And it really started from just conversations that I would have with friends, with people at natural hair events, with people that I was just working with. And I would just ask them questions and they would keep coming back to me. And when I started International Natural Hair Meetup Day, people would ask me, how did you know to start this? Why did you start this? And I said, you know what? I really feel like it's part of my purpose. And even though things like the Purpose-Driven Life was already out and people were kind of talking about purpose, they really weren't talking about what that looks like in an actionable way. And a lot of times purpose was coming from a faith-based perspective and it was tied to kind of charity work or, volunteerism and things like that, but not really from I can make money living and working and doing my purpose as well. So that's how I got started doing that. And I have loved every single moment and every single person that I've just inspired or motivated or, gave them, you go girl, you can do this. And sometimes that's all we need to get started.
Yes.
Sometimes that's
that was
it.
going to be my second question. Do you think that, and you answered it already. Do you think your purpose needs to align with your dreams? And I think you pretty much answered that.
Ideally for sustainability and longevity and for those moments, because even doing something that you love, there are going to be parts of it that you don't like. Like, I don't like the administrative parts. I don't like the taxes. I don't like that part. But in the grand scheme of things, it's a part of a bigger picture. It's a part of so, I think it would be really unfortunate for us to do things for the totality of our life that we not only don't like the parts that we don't like, then we don't like what we're doing, period. So at least find some part of it that you like and that you'll be willing to do, even when those other parts are there that you don't really want to have to deal with.
Would you definitely say that your purpose ties into your why?
Yes, absolutely. I do. Because you do need to remember when things get hard, when the money is funny, when the income is not as stable as you would like, why you are doing this. That's going to give you hopefully the impetus and the motivation to get up and to send that email, to post one more time on social media, to hop on live stream and to share something with people that's going to lead to another registration, a new client or something like that. So absolutely, I do believe that. And then for me, I think that there's an overarching purpose, but we can demonstrate that purpose through various passions, right? So I think that there's an overarching purpose, and this is where being multi-passionate, I think, comes into play, right? So people feel like, oh, I like multiple things, but I have to only focus on one. If you can figure out that common thread, which is the other thing that I do as a purpose pusher, to figure out the commonalities between natural hair and being a mom and, I don't know, cleaning houses, right? Like if you can find the common thread in that, it helps to, even in your mind, just organize how you present content, who you are, and how you show up for your community.
I love that. And in terms of branding, right? Because your brand and everything that will, ultimately tie into all of this that we're talking about.
Right.
What are some of the common mistakes you see people make with their branding and how their message, as far as their story, come across in terms of their purpose?
I think one of the things that I commonly see, especially for people that are just starting out, is a removal of themselves from their brand. Most of the endearing brands, most of the brands that have some sort of longevity on some level, to some degree, see the face of the brand or see the creator or the founder of the brand. And their story is also something that is very endearing, inspiring, inspirational. I'm always amazed at people that, kind of follow me and get to know me and feel like they know me just by my sharing what's going on in my life and throughout my day. So I'm always tagged in coffee posts because people know that I love Starbucks. Always. They know my signature color is purple. So if they see something purple, they're like, girl, I thought of you when I saw this.
Yep.
I love that. And I think that would make brand owners a bit more comfortable when they look at their customers and their clients as acquaintances and people that they do life and community with. That's why I view my entire community like that. Like I do life with them. And that's how you get from just people kind of hanging out on the periphery that may or may not ever buy from you to people that anytime you say buy, register, enroll, they're like, yes, yes, yes. You move them from this periphery to literally the heart of your brand. And when they feel like they know you, that's when they are connected. That's when they're telling about you or sharing you and your brand and who you are with so many other people, is because they feel like they know you and they have that connection. And so if there's anything that I could share with brand owners of all levels, whether you are seasoned and experienced, just share who you are with your brand. I'm not saying share the deep, intimate, most private moments, but you'd be surprised at how many people want to know what you eat for breakfast. I'm serious. You might get a client just because you eat Raisin Bran. I'm like, girl, I love Raisin Bran too. See, I knew I liked you for a reason. You just don't know. And that's the one thing that I've come to learn about branding is like, you just really don't know what those connection points are going to be for people and what is going to be the kind of deciding factor. And so that's why I'm not really scared to talk about my family and my friends and to show that I drink coffee every day and to, show that I like Law and Order SVU because I literally get people tagging me in this. Girl, did you see this week's episode? And so you create this community, and that's how you bridge the gap in this virtual world. And that's how you add humanity to who you are as a brand. And that's how you make things that you sell more human.
And how are we able to do that for introverts, right? Because I know what you're saying and I get what you're saying, but that's me. Like, I'm like, yeah, you're talking to me, but I do it. But I think I can balance it. Like you said, like I can show my customers, like once in a while, like, hey, I'm here. You may not see me, but I'm literally being a mom. So you're not going to see me as much. And they get it. They could relate. But for someone who is like, okay, I'm never getting in front of the camera. I don't want them to know what I do. It's just like, buy the product. That's it. Like, how can that person go around that?
Yeah. Well, okay. So you can do videos and product shots that don't necessarily have your face. And so I think that's one of the first things that I say about, especially about video. Live streaming is a little bit harder, but you can create and curate videos for an Instagram, even a Facebook, and definitely a YouTube that doesn't always have your face. It's just a matter of camera angles and shots. From a photography standpoint, having some shots, but people see your hands and you throw up the peace sign. So they know you're there, right? Or they see you from the back. And so it's not a full frontal shot. Or they see you kind of from the back and side. So they get this profile shot. There are different ways that you can be present without really being present.
See, guys, I told you she would do this content, right?
Right. And so people can feel like, oh, she's there. And it adds a little bit of mystery. So I get that part. And that's cool, too, because people are like, oh, there was this blogger when I was transitioning to natural that I followed for, 2 years, and I never saw her face.
Wow.
I forgot what her name was, but she was a long-term transitioner, and all you saw was her hair. I never saw her face, and people followed every piece of advice that she gave. She was like kind of uber famous in the space, but we never saw her face.
Wow.
So there's a way to do that, but I think we have to figure out, like, you can remove maybe yourself, but you can't remove yourself, if that makes sense.
It makes sense. And like you said, I think I do that even with my Instagram stories. I show the kids a lot. Like, they know, okay, we're out, at the museum. So like you said, people are able to see, like, oh, they go to the museum too? Oh, cool. And they'll message you like, oh, I've been there or whatever. So I think, like you say, if you're shy or you don't want to be in front of the camera, show something you love. So for me, here you go. Here's the kids.
Right. Absolutely. And that can show your personality. And you can also show your personality in your captions, right? So even though it might be a picture of the kids or it might be a picture of a sunset, you also show who you are. I'm sitting here on the beach, enjoying the sunset, and I'm just thinking about blah, 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 whatever it is, right? There are ways for you to communicate and connect with people without always showing your face. You don't have to show your face to show your face or to show your personality. Yeah.
That makes sense. And at what point do you think, because we're always stuck in business, we're always stuck like, okay, I have this idea, but like, how can I get it from point A to Z? So when should a small business or anyone just consider hiring an expert like yourself? And what should we be looking for? Because, right now in this day and age, everyone is a coach, everyone is an expert. So what are some of the things that we should look for?
Well, I think you want to look for deliverables of some sort, and it depends on the industry that you are in. If you are a product maker, you definitely want to, I think, at various points in times, you'll have different types of experts that you may need to employ to one degree or another. If you are a product maker, if you're wanting to grow and scale and maybe get into a retail space, you'll need to find somebody that has done that and has a track record of it. And, I'm thinking of, my friend Pam of Coils by Nature, who definitely has been able to do that with products in hundreds of beauty supply stores and now just launching into Target. So you want to have somebody that has not just the theory, but has the application knowledge to be able to take you to that place. I also think at some point, if you are, and you want to work with people that may be able to help you where you feel maybe a little bit weaker or you need some improvement. So if you feel like connecting with your audience is a struggle, that's where I think maybe working with me helps, because I can take that introvertness and say, these are ways that you can still show up for people and show them who you are without your face being like, hey girl, hey, every day. So, cause I get it. You see me right now. The audience doesn't see me right now, but my hair is twisted up. Right. And so I choose not to, I don't go live and do things like that when I'm in work mode and stuff, but I can still show up for my audience. And one thing that I was going to say too, is that there's a difference between sharing content too and consuming content, because I also know as an introvert, sometimes it's just a lot. Right? Like it's just a lot to take in all the content, especially on days like today when there's just like a lot going on. And so you can share things without consuming content all the time. So I think if you feel like content is an area that, or, being able to connect with your community is something that you don't feel as confident in, or you're a little bit unsure about, I definitely think that working with somebody like me, one of the things that I do, and here's probably the secret sauce, is when I do my content scopes and things like that, I really am just looking at, I'm purely selfish, right? So I'm like, what are my questions? What would I want to know if I was interested in this? And that's really where I give people ideas and advice and suggestions from, is this places, what would I want to know in order to say yes to this, or in order to enroll, or in order to buy from this, to buy this particular product or service.
I'm going to work on that one, Adeea. I can't promise you anything. I'll work on that one. But that was excellent advice. That was excellent advice. So let's talk about automation, because you're always sharing with your audience about automation, how to just, set up your business and make sure you're not working in your business every day. So what are some of give me the top 5 automation tools that you cannot live without in your business.
5 automation tools. So my email provider of choice right now is Convertkit, and that has been a game changer. I went from Mailchimp to Convertkit primarily. So my distinction for product makers and service providers is, I think for product makers, Mailchimp is still great. For service providers, because sometimes, and infopreneurs and content creators, sometimes we have multiple opt-ins and multiple things that we want people to sign in for, and we want to track them. It was hard, almost impossible on Mailchimp to keep multiple kind of funnels of people on one list. You can do that with Convertkit. So that would be one of my tools. Hootsuite is another one. And especially now with this, they're a partner of Instagram.
Yeah.
Yes, that is, oh my gosh.
I just started using them.
Yes, it is amazing from that perspective. So Hootsuite, because you can post to Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, all from one app, and even monitor the conversations and see what other people are talking about. So that's 2. Number 3, well, actually, it's probably really number 1. And if you follow me, I love Evernote.
Evernote
is bae. I'm an Evernote certified consultant. So I teach Evernote. I share Evernote in terms of one place to be able to put information that you want to automate, copy and paste, write your blog post. I think it's a great space to do all of those things. I also like Tailwind for Pinterest. That I've just recently started using that, and because I'm trying to build up more traction on Pinterest. And so Tailwind is great for that. And then number 5 is like most design tools like Canva. Canva is really great for on the go. So again, part of my freedom and flexibility is being able to, like, we were riding to Virginia the other day and I was creating my Instagram highlight covers in Canva. So being able to do those things, I think that helps with automation, and you're being able to create things that you can use in multiple places.
I love it. And you definitely put me on to Evernote. Like, I do my podcast interview questions on Evernote. Yes. And what was genius that you did, I actually did a course, that Adeea did, has a course for how to launch a podcast. And I purchased her course, and I love how she integrated it with Evernote. Like, that was so clever. Like, I was like, this girl is a genius. I don't have to go back and forth trying to figure out, oh, what did she say about such and such? Or what was, it's right there, like literally.
All right there. Yeah. And so when you're creating, you're able to do it and keep it all in one place. So it ends up being like this textbook.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's cool.
Exactly. I love Evernote now. So thanks for that.
Absolutely.
And let's go into some fun questions.
Yes, ma'am.
What was the last book you read?
The last book I read was Blue Ocean Strategy.
Favorite entrepreneur?
Too many. Like, all my friends are entrepreneurs, so they're all my favorites.
We had that.
Honestly, it's a tie for personal reasons between Pamela Booker and Nicole Walters.
Okay. And I think Pamela's came up a lot. So we definitely were trying to get her on. She's to share her knowledge. Who is I'm gonna ask you your favorite food or beverage, but we know that what that is already. Starbucks.
Oh my favorite beverage is Starbucks, but my favorite food is macaroni and cheese. I'm a Southern girl. I'm sorry. I can eat macaroni and cheese every day.
It's Southern girl.
Yes.
And what was the last good deed that was done for you?
Oh, wow. For me, actually, someone paid for me to attend a conference.
Love it.
It was awesome.
That was awesome. That's very generous.
Yes, it was.
That's very generous. And what was the last, I want you to leave our audience with something. So what would be the best advice you could give to anyone just inspiring to just live their purpose, live their dreams, whatever that may be? What would be the best advice that you would give to that person?
I think that it's never too late to start, but we just don't have time to waste. So don't beat yourself up for what you didn't do yesterday, but also don't waste the moments that you were given today, because all you got to do is scroll any sort of timeline, watch the news to see that tomorrow's not promised, even to those who we think have a lifetime in front of them. So literally, we see memes all the time about start the podcast, start the blog, take the trip, take the job, move. Please, I implore you to be able to do that, because on the other side of that, Iyanla says, on the other side of the labor pains that it takes to get there is your dreams and your destiny and your blessings.
Yes, that's the word. That was amazing. You were amazing. And I hope you guys were inspired by Adeea. And we're definitely going to have you on again because, like I said, you do it all. I'm going to have you on to speak on events planning because that's a huge thing now taking off and people have questions. So we're definitely going to have you on. But for now, like, where can we find you? Like, where can they find out about you, that you're not an introvert like all of us?
Right. No, so I'm an ambivert. I have to have my moments kind of by myself, but I'm able to engage with the public when necessary. So you can absolutely find me on Twitter and Instagram, Trendy Socialite. I have a Facebook page, facebook.com/TheTrendySocialite. My website is adearrogers.com. That's where you can find out how to work with me, where I am, my blog posts, and my podcast and different things like that. So that's pretty much where I hang out.
I love it. And we'll definitely be checking in on you. We're going to check in on you for some tips and tricks.
Oh, thank you. Man, this has been amazing. And kudos to you for starting and launching. And I just wish you much success with this. I absolutely love it.
Oh, thank you.
And I love the title of it, Dreams Inspire Reality.
Right? Won't he do it? My husband came up with that one.
Yeah, good job, Hubster.
He's the brain behind all of this. But for sure, guys, make sure you follow her and make sure you follow us at Dreams Inspire Reality on all platforms. Subscribe to the podcast. Leave us a review. We want to hear about you. We want to hear whatever feedback you have for us. If you have any questions, be sure to follow her. You can answer your question, or you can leave us the questions and we'll be sure that she answers that for you. Until next time, dream big. Hey guys, let's give a quick thanks to our sponsor, Dreams Inspire Reality. Are you unsure of the steps needed to turn your dreams into reality? Have you been sitting on that product idea and not sure how to bring it to market? We've successfully launched tons of products and distribute all over the globe. Let us help you get unstuck and take your idea to market with strategic advice and practical steps. Schedule a consultation today at dreamsinspirereality.com.
Dreams inspire